you live. Well, let's continue with the weather and find out how it's affecting your area. We'll start with the situation in Suffolk and Richard Daniel. Richard.
Susie, yet more snow today here in Suffolk, yet more problems. I can tell you in the past half hour we've had a very heavy snow shower here in Ipswich. Now, it's been another deeply frustrating day for travellers, in particular lorry drivers trying to reach the port of Felixstowe, which yet again has spent much of the day closed. The lorry drivers have been diverted onto the old A45 at Levington in their hundreds as part of Operation Stack.
The truck's broken down 3 times, the trucks go, leak, water leak, and then the battery was flat this morning. Bought myself a sat-nav at Christmas and a TV, DVD player. They both packed up on me, so it's just been one of them weeks, really.
Just been told that they're not loading us today. You'd rather be driving about than sitting about, but I get paid either way, so it's not hitting me as much as it is that, like, owner drivers who are not getting paid. And obviously the firms are getting hit harder as well, aren't they?
Now, this afternoon the port did finally reopen, but really only on a very limited basis, so Operation Stack will continue. Meanwhile, in the north of the county at Alton Broad, the harbour master there was prompted to issue a warning today about the dangers of deep water after a child was seen attempting to get onto ice that had formed over the Broad. Now, last night on Look East, we told you about the problems being experienced by people living at an eco-friendly housing development at Elmswell, where they've been without heating or hot water since Sunday evening. We spoke to Natalie Giro, who today told me that even this morning she still didn't have any hot water. However, Orwell Housing Association, who are responsible for the heating, say things are back now to normal. Well, looking ahead to tomorrow, several schools have already decided they're going to remain closed. Of course, for the very latest, you can go to BBC Suffolk on air and online.
Richard, thank you. Many thousands of commuters in Essex decided to follow the advice about essential journeys and take a day off. Gareth George sent us this from Chelmsford a few minutes ago.
The roads are unusually quiet in Essex this evening. This road in Chelmsford would be close to gridlock usually at this time of the evening, but police say there's been a huge reduction in the volume of traffic. In fact, the transport system here in Essex seems to have coped well. This was the A12, again very quiet but flowing freely. And at Stansted Airport, teams have successfully kept the taxiways and runways clear. As you've heard, hundreds of schools were closed today, and we already know that at least 60 schools will be closed in the county tomorrow. But people here have been enjoying the snow too. This wasn't Val d'Isere or Aspen or any other Swiss ski resort. This was Colchester, and they weren't just sledging, they were snowboarding. The conditions, I was told, were ideal.
Well, last time it was a lot harder. This time it's a lot more powdery, a lot softer. So it's better conditions for this sort of thing.
This is my actual first time snowboarding, so I'm getting in the practice before I go abroad to break the legs.
And the Paras in Colchester built what can only be described as some special services snowmen, complete with guns and maroon berets. But if the cold snap continues, there could be problems here, because Essex County Council says it will be reducing the number of roads it grits over the weekend to try to conserve salt stocks. And police are warning that tomorrow morning, if it freezes overnight, the roads here will be treacherous. That's the situation in Essex.
And so to Norfolk, where police have spent the day dealing with a spate of road crashes, and there have been delays for air passengers. John Cranston has the latest. John.
Susie, Norfolk has at least had the distinction today of being one of the few places in the entire region where temperatures have struggled to get above freezing point. But they only did so briefly and only along a small coastal strip to the north of Norfolk. For most people, it was a difficult day, making journeys which sometimes should have taken an hour's commute turned into an hour-and-a-half's journey. And Norwich Airport was among the victims of this morning's early morning snowfalls. Several flights were delayed and there was cancellations as the runway was cleared this morning. But at least we had the people we spoke to, passengers waiting to get away at Norwich Airport, were taking it very much in their stride.
We've been at the airport since 6 o'clock this morning, driving through the snow. And then we heard about all the delays. And we'd be fine if we weren't so cold.
We've been told now that the plane which is stuck in Birmingham has got a technical fault, so we're waiting now for the plane, although the airport's open, the plane's not flying.
They kept us fairly well informed, so we sort of know what's going on most of the while.
We're looking forward to going to Barbados, Bridgetown, Barbados, where we hope we'll finally thaw out.
Well, luckily the airport did return to normal this afternoon. We believe that flights this evening are largely back to normal. But things are deteriorating again, we hear tonight. We're getting reports in now that some pretty heavy snow showers have sprung up in the last hour or so, mainly in central and north Norfolk, where driving conditions tonight are said to be very tricky. And we've heard that a lorry has just crashed off the A148 near Fakenham. And there you can find out more on BBC Radio Norfolk, on air and online.
John, thank you. Other news in brief now, and the Health Secretary says more needs to be done to improve standards at Basildon Hospital. A report recently revealed a high death rate at the hospital, as well as poor hygiene. Andy Burnham told MPs today that improvements had been made, but he said a lot more remained to be done. A young chef who worked with the celebrity chef Jamie Oliver has been jailed for 25 months. Tom Basildon from Thundersley in Essex confessed to his part in a £4 million jewellery raid on Southend Airport 9 years ago. He admitted theft and conspiracy to steal after he'd appeared on Jamie Oliver's show 15. Norwich City's debts have risen to a record £23 million. The club announced its accounts today and they show a loss of £5 million last year, the biggest annual loss in the club's history. You're watching Look East from the BBC. Coming up, the businesses pulling together. Now, grit has been a subject close to every driver's heart recently. Are the councils spreading enough of it? Have they got enough to get us through? This report is from Emma Ball.
It's been another tough day on the roads. Plummeting temperatures, treacherous conditions. Thousands of tonnes of grit needed every day to keep us moving. Councils have been gritting for more than a month. Now some are limiting routes to preserve supplies, especially in Essex, Bedfordshire and Suffolk.
Obviously, it's important to keep the county moving. And of course, when you get things like a funeral in a remote village, which happened today, we do make a special effort to grit the roads down to the church as well. So we do, in fact, are sensitive to local needs. At the same time, making sure that taxpayers' money is well spent.
So I've got to go in there and see what I can find for you.
Right.
Yeah.
A salt wholesaler in Northamptonshire supplies the military and private companies. Stocks are fast running out. Some were due last month but never came. Next week's delivery has already been sold.
We're in a major problem because the salt will eventually run out. The highways probably won't, the main arteries, but everywhere else will be, so the pavements, car parks are in a major problem.
In Norwich, one company has done 10 years' worth of salt-selling business in just 10 days. It's given staff the chance to be creative.
Dan on site, he decided last night we sell dishwasher tablets, which come obviously in a tablet form, which are no good for spreading on your paths and what have you, but we have got a shredder here which we normally use for garden waste, and he had the bright idea of turning that salt into salt which people can then spread on their paths and driveways, etc.
As the freeze carries on, salt retailers are still in for a busy time if they've got anything left to sell. Emma Ball, BBC Look East.
Let's go back now to the village of Cratfield in Suffolk and Jonathan.